Hi everyone, thanks again for joining us today. My name is Andrew Summerich. I'm the Head of Learning here at EdApp. I'm coming to you today from the London office. Beautiful sunny London today, but I understand we have a lot of people joining us from around the world. So wherever you are, either good morning, good afternoon or good evening. And thank you very much for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about microlearning in the dispersed workforce and how EdApp can help with those solutions. So let's get started. So if you're not familiar with EdApp, it is a mobile-first microlearning platform. So we're mobile-first, which means that our authoring tool is specifically tailored to help with mobile-first authoring. We have built-in gamification. So we've built our authoring tool with gamification in mind. It's very easy to include gamification features, just like prizing, games, and scoring like leaderboards. And we're also primarily a microlearning platform, which means short 5-minute lessons, 5 to 10-minute lessons that learners can do while they're on the bus, on the subway, on the tube. And we'll be talking today about further enhancing that with an offline mode that we're about to introduce, meaning that even without a data connection, your learners will be able to access their learning. If they've downloaded it at home, they can take it with them. So we're very excited to introduce that feature to you today. If you're new to EdApp, if this is your first time hearing about the platform, you can actually get started for free for up to 30 days. So you can create a free account at edapp.com. Just go in there and fill in your email address. Yeah, so we have quite a decent global reach as well. I'm in the London office today, but we also have offices in Sydney and New York. And we also have a recently opened office in Los Angeles too. So plenty of options in terms of time zones. And the benefit of that as well is if you need support at any time of day, we do have live chat on the website that's accessible 24 hours a day during business days. So really, really easy to get help and to have someone contact you. In saying that, we do also have many learners across the globe. So we have, I think, almost 35,000 lessons being completed on the platform on an average day. So obviously this means large dispersed workforces come to us when they think of their microlearning and mobile-first learning solutions. And obviously working with this many clients with such a dispersed workforce presents its challenges. So connectivity is a major issue that modern workforces face, especially, as I mentioned, for large dispersed workforces. We've got quite a wide range of clients as well. So some examples that spring to mind, the Commonwealth Bank in Australia, particularly when you have the Australian outback being very vast and people needing access to their content wherever they are, being mobile first makes them even more agile when it comes to educating people about their cybersecurity for banking. Also in particular, a client that comes to mind is Castrol. So Castrol have used Ed to distribute across 12 European markets, training for mechanics in customer service using EdApp. And it's been particularly helpful that the platform is accessible on mobile. It means they're able to complete their learning in those spare moments that they have between jobs or while they're on a cigarette break, for example. So we needed a clever solution to the problem of large amounts of workforces and people who didn't have access to cellular data all the time. And so we came up with offline mode. Now you might be familiar with some other apps with offline mode. For example, Spotify lets you download music and take it with you wherever you are. Or you can download podcasts from Apple Podcasts and listen to them on the tube. And we wanted to go for a similar thing where you can download your lesson and take it with you. Perhaps that's on the London Underground where you simply can't get reception, or on the subway in New York where you can only get reception at certain stations. Or perhaps it was just simply you were in a very rural area that might only have a 2G or edge connection, and you're unable to have that 4G or 5G connection that some of us have here in the city. So it's obviously a very useful feature for many people to be able to take their data with them, take their learning with them, and do it on the road. So that's offline mode, and it's a really interesting solution that's going to be released soon, and we have a demo for you today as well that I'll be glad to show off. And of course, there's several benefits to offline mode. So this means, as I mentioned, learning anytime, anywhere. Even if you're on a transatlantic flight with no Wi-Fi, you're able to access your lessons. If you're on the tube as well, as I mentioned, if you're on a holiday and that sort of thing, you can access your learning offline. The second benefit is for employees who are skeptical of using their data allowance. If they have a limited amount of gigabytes per month, they're not able to perhaps download their lessons on the go. They're able to download the lessons on Wi-Fi, on perhaps your workplace Wi-Fi, and take those lessons with them, which is a major benefit when it comes to keeping your employees happy. Particularly, we see some objections, especially with companies with bring your own device policies, where employees are unable to charge their workplace for a portion of their cell phone bill because they really don't use it for work especially, but they do have to do their learning on mobile. And so typically they've been restricted to doing their learning while they're in a Wi-Fi zone. Now they can download their lessons and take it with them, which is a really big advantage. So I'm going to talk a bit to you first about best practice when it comes to distributing learning for workforces that you know are a bit dispersed or have lesser access to data. And pardon me. And then we'll jump into a demo of the offline mode. So my first tip for you is, especially when it comes to video, is to keep your video sizes small. And in terms of keeping video sizes small, nothing works better than Handbrake. This is a video compression program that's really shown some promising results when it comes to compressing videos. So you can get maybe a 30 or 40 megabyte video down into 2 or 3 megabytes. So that's really helpful when it comes to distributing these lessons that might be, across even a slow Wi-Fi connection, for example. It makes it just that little bit easier for your workplace or your workforce to download them. And also when it comes to images, it does help as well to keep image sizes down. So a program that we've seen some really good results with is ImageOptim. So that's a free download from imageoptim.com. And all you do is you take your images, whatever format they're in, drag them into ImageOptim. And what ImageOptim will do is take out the unnecessary data that's within the images. So when you have image files, they have a lot of metadata associated with them that's really not needed. It's things like details about the camera it was taken on or the program it was edited with. It strips all that out and it makes it a small file. In some cases, it can reduce your image sizes by up to half. So it's really useful to run those through those apps before uploading them to your lessons. Another great tip for keeping your lesson sizes smaller is to keep the image and the text separate. So what some authors will do is they'll integrate their text with their image, like we see here on the right. And that's a really bad practice, not only because it does waste a bit of data when it comes to downloading that part of the image with the text, especially even if it's a sort of a text below an image. That's just extra data that needs to be downloaded, and it's a lot less efficient than simply putting the text in the actual authoring tool. The other disadvantage, though, is that it makes it harder to translate in the future. If you have this text here and you want to translate that to, say, French or Spanish, in this side, on the left here, it would be simply a matter of typing it again or getting your translator to put it into a document and type it again. But here on the right, you're going to have to go into an image editing program. When you've got 10 or 15 images across a lesson, it really adds up to a lot of work. So it is best practice just to keep your images your text outside of your images. So let's jump into our offline mode demo. I'll just talk briefly about the limitations of it. So firstly, we're unable to use our peer learning feature or peer authoring feature when it comes to offline mode. So this is a feature where learners are asked to upload their own videos and their own learning and comment. So lessons with peer learning in them will not be available to be downloaded offline, simply because when someone is offline, they are unable to submit a video. Secondly, streaming video is not available. So videos hosted on YouTube or Vimeo, unfortunately, they do need to be streamed directly. And so a lesson with a YouTube or Vimeo video in it will not be able to be downloaded on offline mode. However, you are, if you would like a workaround to that problem, you are able to upload your video to the EdApp platform, and that will actually download to the offline mode. So we've got our EdApp here, and we've got, this is actually a preview version with offline mode enabled, so we will be enabling this feature in just a few weeks' time. So as you can see here, I've got my courses and I can scroll through them. And if I come over here into the menu, into my profile, we see a new option here, which is allow cellular data to download lessons. And if I turn that on, it's simply going to allow my 4G connection to download lessons to my phone. But if I turn this off, then lessons are only going to download over Wi-Fi. Let's say we want to take a course on cybersecurity, and but we're about to go on a ride through the channel, so we won't be able to access the internet. So all I do is I tap this download button below a lesson I'd like, and we see this little wheel come up, and just like that, the lesson's downloaded. I'm on quite a fast Wi-Fi connection, but you can imagine it won't take much longer than that. Now let's simulate that. So let's go into airplane mode. So when I don't actually have a connection, only the lessons that I've downloaded are going to come up, and the rest are going to be shown as unavailable. So when I tap on one of these, obviously nothing happens. But if I tap on this lesson here, I'm able to just go in and quickly start the lesson. And I can play through it just like any other lesson. And obviously you can see the Ed gamification features come to life here. So obviously it's telling me I'm wrong, my apologies. Let's try and get this one right. There we go, so I enter star there. Now if I hit exit lesson, it's going to tell me my score, just like nothing else happened. And seamlessly in the background, when we come back online, what's going to happen is, in the background, it's going to upload my result to EdApp, to the servers, and keep track of my offline mode result. So as soon as your learners come back online, all their analytics are going to be uploaded back to the platform. And as I mentioned, there are a few limitations on this, but pretty much any lesson in EdApp will have the ability to be downloaded offline. So you can see they all have this little button. It's simply a matter of pressing that button, and then the lesson will download. If anyone else has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us today on our offline mode webinar. And be more than happy to see you in the hello@edapp.com email address or on the next webinar. Thank you very much for joining us.